All right, let's dive straight into the heart of Kenyan football, shall we? We're talking AFC Leopards, a club with a story way bigger than just wins and losses.
Oh, absolutely. It's a story interwoven with, well, Kenyan history and the Luhya community's spirit.
And our source for this exploration is a YouTube video from Daateku channel called Looking into the History of AFC Leopards. They've really gone deep.
It's what makes it so fascinating how a football club can become a symbol, like a reflection of hopes and identity.
So AFC Leopards, or Ingwe Matere, meaning a leopard with claws. Where does it all begin?
Officially, 1964. Interesting, right? That's when Kenya got its independence, so imagine that energy, that new nation finding its way.
And the club itself wasn't just poof out of nowhere, right?
Right. It came from a merger of smaller Luhya community clubs. Originally, they were Abaluya United Football Club, so bringing together different parts of the community.
It's poetic, choosing the leopard, right? Strength, agility, a bit wild. No wonder their fans are so passionate.
Speaking of fans, the Isukudi. It's a traditional Luhya dance and music, now like a signature at AFC Leopards matches. You've got to picture it. The stadium drumming, rhythmic chanting. It's cultural, not just football.
That's what I love about this. It's a window into a whole culture, not just the game itself.
You got it. And performance-wise, AFC Leopards have definitely got the credentials. 12 top-flight league titles, 10 Kenya Cup wins, and 5 Sikafa Club Championship victories.
That's a trophy cabinet to be proud of. But you said earlier they're not the most successful Kenyan club.
Yeah, that goes to Gor Mahia, 18 titles, then Tusker FC with 13. But AFC Leopards, their impact is massive, even if not always top of the table.
The video mentions this rivalry, Meshimiji Derby, between them and Gor Mahia. It sounds more than just two teams going head-to-head.
Oh, way more. Think about it. AFC Leopards, the Ludi people, Gor Mahia associated with the Luo community. Two of Kenya's largest ethnic groups with their own history, politics, all that plays out on the field.
So it's like a symbolic battleground for bigger societal stuff.
There's that aspect. But it's nuanced. Like, the Derby's intensity changes with Kenyan history, moments of political alliance, or economic gaps between the communities. It's a mirror to the nation's complexity.
Wow, that adds a whole other layer to a football rivalry. Sounds like something you gotta see live.
It is. And even beyond the Derby, AFC Leopards' journey hasn't been all smooth sailing. Ups and downs, just like Kenya itself over the decades.
All right, let's walk through that. The 60s, they were just starting, finding their feet, but with some early success.
That early success was key, built the foundation, got fans hooked. Then, the 70s and 80s, that's their golden age. They were the first Kenyan club to win the National League undefeated. Think about that.
Undefeated, that's a statement for sure. But then things shift. The 90s, the 2000s.
It gets bumpy, still wins, but also challenges, even relegation for a bit. You wonder, what causes these swings? Internal club stuff, coaching changes, or is it like reflecting Kenya as a whole?
It's wild how a team can be so tied to the nation's story. So we've got these big historical forces, but what about the individuals, the players who made AFC Leopards what it is?
Now you're talking. The heart of it all. AFC Leopards has a roster of legends, names everyone knows in Kenyan football. Joe Kadenge, Wilberforce, Maradona, Mulamba, Noah Wanyama, just to name a few.
They're more than just athletes, though, right?
Yeah, they become symbols, role models. Their stories are part of the club's identity, showing what Kenyans can achieve, but also the struggles. Take Joe Kadenge, for example.
Okay, Kadenge, what made him so iconic?
Gifted player, they called him Kadenji Nampira, meaning Kadenge with the ball, because his dribbling was unreal. But it was more than that. Passion, connecting with fans, that AFC Leopards never give up spirit.
And did his career follow those ups and downs we talked about, mirroring Kenya's journey?
For sure. Big wins, tough losses, even political stuff affecting him. But he was resilient, showing that even when things are tough, talent and hard work can shine.
It's amazing how one player can represent so much. And speaking of influence, can't forget the coaches.
Oh, the coaches. The list is long, which tells you something right there. It's a tough job, managing a club with such passionate fans and expectations. Jonathan Neva in the early days, Charles Gyamfi in the late 80s, early 90s, each with their own style.
It makes you wonder if that constant change, lack of consistency, affected their success. Building a winning team takes time, trust.
Totally, like a microcosm of those bigger societal things we talked about, wanting quick results, adapting to change. Makes you think, what could AFC Leopards achieve with more stability? A long-term plan.
That's a question for later, I think.
Right.
But it shows how complex and layered the story of AFC Leopards really is.
Oh, it really is. And there's this thing, we touched on it but haven't really dug in. The Mashemeji Derby.
Yeah, that clash, AFC Leopards versus Gor Mahia. We talked culture, ethnic stuff, but what's it actually like?
Picture this. Packed stadium. A sea of green for Gor Mahia. Blue for Leopards. You can feel the anticipation. The energy's crazy. Then the Isukudi drums start. Deep, rhythmic. You feel it in your chest.
You're making me want to be there.
It's more than sport. It's a spectacle. Celebrating who you are, letting out all those emotions, and woven through it, the history, those echoes of tension and winds from the past.
Makes you think, what role does this rivalry have in Kenyan society? Does it make those tensions worse, or could it bring people together?
Tough one. Probably both, honestly.
Yeah.
When feelings run high, rivalries, they can make divisions worse, that's for sure.
Yeah, I see that. Especially with all the history, the cultural stuff we talked about.
Exactly, but it also creates this shared space, right? People from different backgrounds all coming together because they love the game.
So it's like two sides of the same coin. Can divide, but also connect.
And maybe, just maybe, in that shared passion, something changes. Conversation starts, a bridge is built, who knows?
That's a nice thought. Even in all that rivalry, there's this hope for understanding.
It reminds you, sport, yeah, it's competitive, but it can surprise you. That power to bring people together. Speaking of surprises, there's this other part of AFC Leopard's story, often gets missed.
We did mention that long list of coaches. The coaching carousel, was it? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, that constant change. It tells a story, too. Like a restlessness, always chasing success, maybe even wanting those old glories back.
I wonder if that instability hurt them, in a way.
It's a good point. Building a winning team, you need consistency, trust between players, management. Imagine trying to build a strategy, a whole winning culture, when the boss is always changing.
Like building on sand, basically.
Exactly. It makes you think, what if they had that stable base? What could they really achieve?
Big questions. But wow, we've covered a lot. Their history, the cultural side, the ups and downs, the legendary players, those amazing fans, even that rivalry with Gor Mahia. All the layers to it.
It has been quite a journey, right? And honestly, we've just scratched the surface. There's so much more, so many stories to tell.
Totally agree. And I think that's a perfect way to lead into our final thoughts. So wrapping up our deep dive on AFC Leopards, what's the big takeaway? What makes them stand out beyond just, stats and records?
For me, it's how their story is like Kenya's story. The ups and downs, the struggles, the wins, it's all connected.
And they don't just reflect it, they shape the culture too. Like that Ingwe Matere, the leopard with claws. It's strong, it's resilient.
And the fans, man, the Isukudi, the music, the dancing. It's more than just being a fan, it's a Lucia identity right there in the club.
We talked about the legends, guys like Joe Kadang, who became more than players, symbols of national pride. And then the whole coaching thing, always searching for that winning formula.
Right. And that Mashemeji Derby, Leopards against Gor Mahia, goes way beyond the game itself, taps into those deep social, historical currents.
A rivalry that can, fuel tensions, but also, kind of surprisingly, show moments of unity, shared passion.
Exactly. Even in that fight, there's a chance for connection, for bridging those gaps.
So we've looked at the past, the present. But what about the future?
That's the million-dollar question. What does the future hold for AFC Leopards? Can they get back to that dominance? Will they find the stability, the leadership to reach their potential?
And how will their story keep evolving? With Kenya changing, the world of football changing? Those are questions for you, the listener, to think about.
Because that's the cool thing about a deep dive like this. It's just the start. It sparks that curiosity.
So keep exploring, keep learning, and keep an eye on AFC Leopards. Ingwe Matere, the leopard with claws, a club whose story is still being written.
Abaluya woyi, urolaga kameka wosi woyi. Chandanga munjera yanze, ndabanga maraba nigina uyukoyi. Ingwe Matere Ingwe, Ingwe shienga kamono imberi, Ingwe senanga shono.